What's up, guys? With the upcoming ban list, I've seen a lot of interest sparked back into like TeleDAD. And more recently, this thing called TefeDAD. Name's a little funny, and looking around, I found this particular list for it. This one was staged for the ban list that we're using now. You still see 3 tour guide, you still see 2 Destiny draw. But the idea just sort of sparked some interest for me. Part 1 of this video is going to be TefeDAD, and part 2 of this video is going to be just TeleDAD. For the upcoming ban list, supposedly. A few things I dislike about the current list. I dislike Dasher entirely, much less at 2. And also looking at the Heretic engine that was in the deck, looked really odd to me like that. It sort of made a little more sense once I actually got into working with and building the deck myself. But that's something that seems off at first, and it's something you really got to get used to. Another thing that I dislike, 1 Convocation, not enough search power when you can abuse more, and then 1 Monster Gate. I dislike the idea that you could end up losing power spells and things like that off cards like Monster Gate. So that's something else that I completely cut. So anyways, we'll go ahead and get into my particular build for TefeDAD. Stratos and Double Diamond Dude. Diamond Dude can hit every spell in the deck except for the 2 E-Tellies, so 13 out of 15. That's why I decided to run 2. There's a really high probability that you're going to hit something useful. 1 Doomlord. I absolutely love Doomlord and TeleDAD type decks. I mean, hell, even in general. He's searchable. He baits Veiler and Warning like a boss. His effect, if you don't know it, he essentially, so long as he's face up on the field at resolution of his effect, you can banish a monster your opponent controls for 2 turns. Back that with the E-Telly engine to then be able to synchro, and it's just pretty freaking awesome. And then finally, the double malicious, because that's just pretty staple. For the Heretic engine, I ended up sticking with what the previous list showed, with 3 Tefnuit, 1 Sue, and 1 Wattail. If you think about your average, just sort of random chaos player you'd see at locals. Typically, you see a lot of like Cyber Dragon and Sac for Caius plays. It's pretty standard. It works, and that's sort of what the Tefnuit engine's here for. You can special it, you can sack it for the Caius, but mostly, you're just going to use your Convocation, search out a Sue. It gives you access to Wattail. You just have a little more rank 6 things to work with the malicious to set off some exceed plays, while having a little self-sufficient engine within the deck. Then we have Double Krebons and Psychic Commander for the 2 E-Tellies. Even with E-Telly supposedly going to 3, I don't like it. If you remember my actual September 2008 TeleDAD list that I posted up where I won the TeleDAD tournament with it, I only played 2 E-Calls in that, or E-Tellies in that as well. You're only playing 3 E-Telly targets, and you have a lot of draw power, so I felt like having 3 E-Tellies, you were just begging for something to be dead. I'm playing 1 Breaker because it gives access to Arcanite Magician with Psychic Commander, as well as the Dark Resonator. But 1 Tour Guide. Tour Guide's supposedly going to 2, and I feel like at 2, you play like 2 Tour Guide and Sandgin, or 2 Tour Guide, Sandgin, Night Assailant. And I just don't like those ratios at all. So instead, I decided to just cut to 1 Tour Guide. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, who cares? You'll pull Sandgin if need be, if it's still there. If not, you can always pull Resonator. Sure, at that point, you won't be able to tune with Resonator or defense with it, but you'll just be setting up your standard rank 3 play. If you do happen to draw into Resonator, you can stall behind it. It gives you access to different synchro plays, again with Arcanite Magician, with Breaker and whatnot. So I actually really like the Dark Resonator tech for this particular build. Plague Spreader, because TeleDAD, I mean, what we do is synchro. And then Caius. Caius is just great. Only 1 Veiler with Inzectors and Windups being nuked. I feel like Veiler is going to be a little bit weaker right now. It might come back into play with some of the upcoming archetypes, but I'm just sort of playing Tech Veiler for now. BLS fits because of all of the Heretic engine that's in the deck. And I think the spells from there on out are pretty much self-explanatory. Duality, you might hit it off Diamond Dude. If you're setting up a Caius play, just, use Duality that turn. Search, draw, 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 search, search, setup plays, staples, and then since there's one extra space in the deck, one treasure shuffle. Side decks, sort of just some ideas. The second Veiler if you need it, MSTs or Decrees for extra back row hate. The one thing that I feel is going to be really standard for this format's Triple Crow. If the list is as it is, you're going to see a lot of decks similar to this that are going to be abusing 3 Destiny Draw. So you're going to want to be able to crow that Malicious before they can make another play out of it. And Dark Worlds didn't get hit. With that being said, and the ability to spam those 3K beaters and whatnot, I think Dark World's going to be a really big contender. Dino Rabbit's still going to be just as much as it always has been. The deck list will pretty much be identical. Minus a tour guide, minus a rabbit, they'll play a gold Sark or two. Is pretty much what that's going to turn out to be. Extra deck was pretty standard. With the loss of Bryo, I think Gravity Warrior is actually going to get to see play. He's actually not that bad. Say they have 2 monsters on their side of the field. Well, right there he gets summoned at a 27, which isn't anything to laugh at. They have 1 monster, he's a 24. I mean, he has a variable attack that could be really big. Regardless is decent. And then he sort of works like Photon Butterfly. Just flips things, but it's during your opponent's turn. It forces their defense into attack and then forces it to attack you. So if they're trying to play defense, you can just be like, summon Diamond Dude, effect into Destiny Draw, E-Tele, go Gravity Warrior, and just set up plays like that, so then they can't go defenses because they know you're going to force them into the offensive. Other than that, it's pretty much standard across the board. So now we will go on to TeleDAD. Part 2, TeleDAD. A lot of things that I mentioned in part 1 of the video. There are a few key differences here. We are still playing pretty much the same beginning lineup. Stratos, Double Diamond Dude, Doomlord. If you didn't watch part 1 of the video, Doomlord is awesome. He baits Veiler and Warning like a boss. Essentially, once per turn, you can banish a monster your opponent controls for 2 turns. Back that up with E-Tele to be able to synchro, and you have a pretty awesome play right there. And then your Double Mally, and in this particular build, we're teching 1 Plasma as well. If it's there for Destiny Draw, awesome. If you get it off, even more awesome. For the E-Tele engine, we're playing 2 Crabons and Psychic Commander, just like in the other build, and Plague Spreader. Again, with only 2 E-Tele, I think 3 is just overkill. You have 3 targets, and we draw a lot. 1 Breaker, simply for a little bit of extra back row hate, and access to Arcanite. Again, if you didn't watch part 1 of the video, only 1 tour guide, with tour guides supposedly going to 2 on this list. I felt playing 2 tour guide in Sangan, or 2 tour guide Sangan Night Assailant, or 2 tour guide, insert 2 other level 3 fiends here. I didn't like those ratios. I didn't like the way they played. So I decided to play 1 tour guide. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, who cares? Typically speaking, you'll go for Sangan, just like always. Resonator's there because he can stall. He sort of tweaks around with the levels of synchro plays that you can make. If Sangan's already been drawn or whatnot, you can get into him with tour guide and then make your standard rank 3 play like you would anyways. So just sort of really multi-purpose. Double Veiler in this build, I had room for it. Just sort of helps control a little bit. And then finally Dark Arm to Gores. Spells across the board are pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Draw, 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 set up play, set up play. Scapegoat's sort of defense, and it also works really well with Plasma. While Plasma requires 3 tributes, he's not a tribute summon. You tribute 3 as a cost to special him, so Scapegoat works very well like that. Steal, Search, Back Row Hate, Staple. I actually realized a goof in this build. I forgot Dark Hole. Dark Hole. So let's not be a scrub. Did I do that in the other build too? That's making me wonder. Save, yes. No, I had Dark Hole in there, so that's my goof. Probably that's what I did. I put 2 MST in this build instead of a Dark Hole. That was the issue. Anyways, back to the deck list. This particular one, we are playing 8 traps, Solemn Brigade, Torrentials, Deep Prison, Double Mirror Force. With Dark Hole, Double Torrential, and Double Mirror Force, we have a lot of monster hate in this format. It's going to suck. But if everybody else is abusing it and you sort of have the ability to, you most certainly should, so that's what we're doing here. Again, side deck for decks like these, I'm not so sure exactly how I'd want to go about it yet. The only thing I'm pretty much certain of is Triple DD Crow for the mirror match type matches to get that Mally out so they can't plus more off of it. And again, because Dark Worlds didn't get hit. So I figure we're going to see a lot of heroes, a lot of TeleDAD stuff, a lot of Dark World, and we're still going to see a lot of Dino Rabbit. Extra deck, again, is pretty much identical to video, part 1 of the video, if you watched that one. The Gravity Warrior, I think, is going to see a lot of play with Bryo Band. We need another level 6, besides Gaia. Gravity's attack is variable. 21's not bad, so long as they have a monster. He's at 24, again, not bad. Any more than that, he just gets better. He also keeps your opponent from being able to play defensive. You just be like I said in part 1, Diamond Dude or something. Effect for whatever, E-Telly, going to Gravity Warrior. Say they've just been sitting behind something in defense. Now you're forcing them on the offense even if they're not ready, and that's really going to hurt some people. Or say they have things that are less powerful than Gravity Warrior, and they just have stuff in defense, and you have all your Mirror Forces set. Gravity Warrior, force them to attack, and then Mirror Force off whatever you can. But yeah, extra deck's pretty much all the same, and expect to see a lot of decks like this in the upcoming format, assuming that the list that has not been debunked for quite a few days now actually is real. So with that, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.